personal sense of accomplishment. We all have dreams and goals to which we aspire, but even the best of us can sometimes feel that our aims exceed our grasp. If only there was a way to tap into our hidden potential. Well, as it turns out, there is. To get the most out of yourself and your life, you need to develop the right habits. Hi, I'm Amanda from Blinkist, and in these blinks, I'm going to take you through the ideas from one of the most influential self-help guides of all time, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It's been on top of bestseller lists for decades, and it's also the most popular title in the Blinkist app. And there's a good reason for that. In the next 20 minutes or so, I'll share insightful advice and instructive examples that will help you take charge of your routines and cultivate a lifestyle that leads to success, whatever the type of success you're looking for. Let's dive into it. Time for the first blink. Before we get to the actual habits, I want to briefly talk to you about cultivating habits aligned with good principles. This is the core of great habits. So, imagine you're visiting a foreign city for the first time. The streets are unfamiliar and the signs are in a language you don't understand. How will you find your way around? And how will you reach your destination? If you ask a stranger on the street, you may receive a few tips like turn right or take the bus. And sure, these may help in the short term, but eventually, you'll end up lost again. A more effective strategy would be to find a map, right? With an accurate picture of the world around you, you can find your own way, again and again. Well, navigating life is similar. While certain small actions can be useful, it's far more valuable to grasp a few fixed and guiding principles and make a habit of following them. When author Stephen Covey looked back at 200 years of self-help advice, he observed an interesting pattern. He found that most advice that is given followed one of 2 paradigms. The first is the personality ethic. This paradigm argues that success comes from learning a series of tricks and techniques. It says that if you talk the right way or complete the right tasks, you'll achieve your goals. This advice is attractive, but it often leads to rather superficial changes that don't make a fundamental difference. The second paradigm is different. It's based on the character ethic. This approach argues that there are underlying principles to success. These principles aren't specific to any one situation. They're deep, unchanging truths about the world. If we align our inner character with these rules, we'll achieve lasting results. So, how does this paradigm work in practice? Well, let's say you want a happier marriage. The personality ethic would tell you to adopt a new communication style or take a certain kind of vacation. In contrast, the character ethic encourages you to work on yourself. It says you must become the kind of person who has a good marriage by cultivating a character based on principles like fairness, empathy, and trust. Of course, this is easier said than done. If you want to develop an inner character based on good principles, then you need to change the way you consistently perceive and approach the world around you. In short, making changes based on the character paradigm requires that you cultivate good habits. In the following blinks, we'll take you through these habits one at a time. Okay, let's go through the first key habit you need to learn. Here's a simple question that has vexed scientists, philosophers, and everyday people for millennia. What makes you, you? Some argue that it's all about genetics, that human evolution and our very DNA dictate our lives. Others point to our parents. They say that it's who raised us and how we were raised that matters most. Still others insist it's our environment and immediate circumstances that reign supreme. The truth is, they're all too deterministic. I mean, they say our lives are at the mercy of outside influences. But highly effective people make a habit of approaching the world in a different way. They realize that while we can't control everything, we can control ourselves. One of the crucial differences between humans and other animals is our capacity for self-awareness. Animals are largely beholden to external stimuli. When they encounter something in the world, they generally react in a pre-programmed way. In contrast, humans can pause, reflect, and decide how to respond. This is called being proactive, and being proactive is the first habit of highly effective people. When you're proactive, you have the freedom to choose how to engage with the world around you and the opportunity to determine your own destiny. You can let unexpected rain ruin your picnic plans, Or you can proactively focus on the positives. Rather than brood about the weather, you can direct your energy toward enjoying time with your friends, despite the storm. And this works even under the most dire circumstances. Consider the famous psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. He spent World War II locked in a concentration camp. While his tormentors determined all his external conditions, he realized he was still in command of his responses. Rather than lose hope, he spent each day imagining a better future in which he would be able to teach students how he survived the horror. This proactive response gave him the strength to pull through and fueled his later career as an educator. With practice, you can do that too. You can foster the power to actively shape your response to any given hardship. So, when you encounter an obstacle at work or in your personal life, take extra care to consider your course of action. Don't immediately succumb to your initial instincts. Instead, step back, consider the root causes of the problem, and then focus your energy on what you can actually influence positively. Let's begin our look at the second habit with a slightly morbid mental exercise. Imagine that it's 3 years in the future, and sadly enough, you've passed away. Yes, it's a tragedy. But now, all your friends, family, and colleagues have gathered for your funeral. Each person takes turns stepping to the podium and delivering a eulogy. What do you want them to say about you? Sure, this is tough to think about, but it's also instructive. Suddenly, the unimportant details of daily life melt away and all your real priorities come into focus. Now you're thinking about your relationships, your accomplishments, and what world you want to leave behind. As this somber experiment shows, considering your ultimate outcome is an essential aspect of organizing your life. That's why highly effective people make a habit of thinking things through, which brings us to our second habit: begin every task with a desired outcome. Whenever you perform an action, whether big or small, you're actually doing it twice. You see, before you physically carry out a process, you must first imagine it by conjuring up a plan. These plans can be quick and casual, like a mental to-do list of your chores, or they can be dense and detailed, like a well-structured business plan. Either way, it's important to think about the future as it helps you navigate the present. Think about building your dream house. Before framing the house or putting up the roof, it's wise to draft a blueprint, right? Because without a clear picture of what you're building, the construction process will be a chaotic disaster. You'll make costly mistakes, waste valuable materials, and likely be unhappy with the result. It's fairly easy to apply this principle to short-term projects. For example, it's always smart to flesh out your weekly professional schedule ahead of time and have clear goals that you'd like to achieve by the end of each quarter. But the real benefits of this habit come when planning for the long term. To do this, imagine your desired life by crafting a personal mission statement. Do some serious introspection and write out what you truly hope to achieve, what values you want to uphold, and what you see as real success. Use this document as a guide to help you make decisions and measure your progress. When you know your desired destination clearly, it's much easier to stay on the right path. So, let's recap. The second habit of highly effective people is beginning everything with the outcome in mind. It's 9 o'clock on a Monday morning and you're at the office. The phone's ringing, the printer's jammed, you have a report to write and a project plan to draft, and wait, your boss is knocking at your door wanting to speak to you. What do you tackle first? Even when you know what your goals are, it's hard to know which steps to take when. Here to help is the third habit, which is put first things first. Or put differently, prioritize tasks according to their urgency and importance. Let's talk about how. There are many approaches to time management. Some favor making lists. Others say you should schedule your tasks in advance. But the real secret to working effectively is organizing your efforts by priority. And for this, you can use a time management matrix. A time management matrix is a grid where you list all your tasks according to two dimensions: urgency and importance. To make one, get a piece of paper and draw a 2x2 grid with 4 boxes. The top left box is quadrant 1. That is for tasks that are urgent and important, like a sudden crisis that can't be ignored. The top right box is quadrant 2. Here you mark tasks that are important but not urgent. Think long-term projects like building client relationships. Bottom left is quadrant 3. This is for tasks that are urgent but not that crucial, like answering the phone. And finally, bottom right is quadrant 4. This is for everything that's neither urgent nor important, like playing solitaire. Once you've divided up all your duties this way, it's easier to see where to focus your efforts. While the items in quadrant 1 are important, it's really the jobs in quadrant 2 that deserve special attention. These are often the most overlooked because they don't feel as pressing. But that's not true. They are still important and often come with the biggest efficiency payoffs. If you address them early on, you'll help prevent new items from appearing in quadrant 1. Of course, no one can do everything alone. Sometimes putting first things first requires you to delegate items that don't need your personal touch. Just be sure not to micromanage. Don't assign tasks. Instead, ask for specific results. After all, when it comes to efficiency, the outcome is what matters most. So remember this third habit: put first things first. For this blink and for the fourth habit, I'd like you to imagine you're at a championship football game, or whatever ball game you prefer. It's the final competition of the season. There can only be one winner and one loser. One team takes home the trophy, the other goes home empty-handed, no matter how well they played. Luckily, not all areas of life are like this. Not always can only one team triumph and the rest must fail. Actually, if you use collaborative thinking, most situations can be mutually beneficial. That's why effective people make use of a fourth habit: ensure everyone has a positive outcome. For many people, the dominant paradigm that shapes how they interact is a win-lose worldview. This means they see every exchange, whether it is personal, business, or something else, as a competition. A competition in which getting what you want means the other parties can't get what they want. While this paradigm is useful in some contexts, it's disastrous in others. It makes everything a competition and turns potential partners into adversaries. This breeds distrust and disharmony, and eventually makes both parties losers. For example, in a sales team in which only the top-performing person gets a bonus, and the rest get nothing. This is a win-lose arrangement that incentivizes each player to care only about himself. People who feel like this may hide leads, or even worse, they might sabotage each other. And what's the result? Fewer overall sales. Nobody wants that. But there is an alternative to this, and it's the win-win paradigm. This worldview ditches competition in favor of collaboration. It seeks outcomes that benefit everyone involved. For that sales team, this could mean giving out bonuses only when everyone reaches individual sales goals. That way, one salesperson's win is also a win for everyone else. This win-win arrangement encourages communication and teamwork, and will result in more sales and happier workers overall. Okay, and what's the best way to ensure you're always looking for the win-win? Here it is. You can adopt an abundance mentality. This mindset doesn't see good things like success, joy, fulfillment, or even profits as rare commodities. Instead, it knows there's always plenty for everyone. When you realize there's always more value to be had, it's easier to look for ways to collaborate on attaining it. So, summing up here, the fourth habit you should build is always look for the win-win scenario. We've talked about 4 of the 7 habits now. Let's get to the 5th, which is all about building stronger relationships and communication. We'll start with a little scenario again. The words in your magazine are getting blurry. You're always squinting and you can't pick out a friend from 10 steps away. It's time to visit the optometrist. Now, you know how these trips usually go. You read letters off a chart as the doctor tries out different lenses. Eventually, you find the exact lens for you. But what if the doctor took a different approach? What if, instead of testing your eyes, she simply gave you her glasses and said, "These worked for me," and left it at that? Well, your vision would still be blurry, and you'd probably find a new optometrist. It sounds absurd, but when it comes to communication, many people act like that doctor. They offer solutions before actually understanding the problem. Highly effective people take a different approach with a 5th habit: they listen before they talk. Good communication is at the heart of any meaningful relationship. Unfortunately, most people only hone their speaking skills. That means they seek to be understood. But that's just half the picture. To really cultivate personal connections, you must also understand. And to truly understand someone, you must learn to listen. And listening means more than simply hearing. It means actually grasping another person's thoughts and feelings on a meaningful level. The best way to do this is by practicing empathetic listening. This form of listening requires you to tune into someone's frame of reference both intellectually and emotionally. It means hearing that person's words, but also uncovering the deeper sentiments behind them. One way to do this is to stop offering advice immediately, at least until you clearly comprehend what someone is trying to communicate. So instead of replying to an anecdote with a story of your own, try identifying the feeling the other person is trying to articulate. This is called reflecting and can be as simple as saying, "That sounds frustrating," or "You feel this is important." This keeps the conversation centered on the person you want to understand. Still, this isn't a shortcut or trick. For empathetic listening to work, you must have a sincere interest in other people. It takes time, effort, and practice to do correctly. But if you try it, people will notice and appreciate your attention. Not only that, they'll often reciprocate with empathy and respect of their own. Over time, your relationships will become more open, satisfying, and meaningful. In order to get in the mood for habit 6, let's take a walk through the rainforest. It's teeming with life and beauty. What makes this place so vibrant and lush? Is it the birds in the trees? The ants on the ground? Maybe it's the sunlight streaming through the canopy overhead. Nah, we can't give credit to just one element. These things are all interconnected if you think about it. It's life's complex web of interactions that allows such ecosystems to emerge and thrive. In nature and human relations, the whole is often greater than the sum of its parts. We call this phenomenon synergy, and highly effective people are always open to unlocking its potential and implementing this 6th habit, creating powerful synergies by fostering the open exchange of ideas. Synergy can be hard to define, but put most simply, it is the creative force that emerges when different people are brought together in harmony. You see, every person is different, and each individual comes with a set of strengths and weaknesses. So when groups work together, they can actually reinforce each other's positive attributes while mitigating their negative ones. In the end, a better whole is born. This can occur in almost any context. Imagine a classroom in which students are empowered to interact and exchange ideas freely. What will happen? Well, some students will ask provocative questions, others will give informative answers, and still others will elevate the discussion with intimate personal insights. In the end, you may stray from the lesson plan, but everyone will learn more. The way to encourage synergistic energy is to create an environment in which everyone feels safe and respected. This requires drawing on other habits like win-win thinking and empathetic listening. When these habits are put into practice, people will be more likely to share ideas, build on each other's contributions, and value the different skills brought by others. It worked for David Lilienthal. When he ran the Atomic Energy Commission in the United States after World War II, he put together a group of highly capable people. Yet each expert had his own strong opinions that sometimes clashed with others. So Lilienthal scheduled weeks of group meetings so that each team member could share his hopes, fears, and reasons for the program. These open discussions created an atmosphere of trust and understanding that let synergy bloom. In the end, the commission developed an immensely creative and productive culture. And that's exactly how Habit 6 works. Ready for the last one? Picture yourself as an industrious lumberjack. Every day you head into the forest to start felling trees. The first few are easy. Whack, 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 and down it comes. However, over time you notice a disturbing pattern. Each tree is taking more whacks to bring down. By the end of the week, toppling a single trunk takes all afternoon. You've probably guessed what's gone wrong here. While you've been hard at work, you've forgotten to take care of your tools. Your trusty axe, once sleek and sharp, is now dull and useless. As this parable shows, even the most driven and dedicated workers will eventually burn out if they don't take breaks. For this reason, the 7th and final habit of highly effective people is all about rest and renewal. Make the time to take care of yourself. As you strive to achieve your ambitions, it's easy to get so caught up in outward action that you neglect to nurture your own well being. Of course, this is a dangerous oversight because without a well maintained body, mind, and spirit, all your other effective habits will start to suffer. So it's crucial to allocate time and energy to renewing yourself continually in 4 different dimensions. The first is the physical dimension. This means taking care of your body with regular exercise, proper nutrition, and plenty of restful sleep. Developing these healthy habits will give you the endurance to keep operating over the long term. The second dimension is spiritual. Renewing this dimension is all about getting in touch with yourself, your values, and the beauty in the world around you. Each day, take a few moments for quiet contemplation, prayer, or mindful meditation. You'll find such practices keep you centered and ready to handle adversity. The third dimension is mental. Just like your body, your brain needs regular workouts. Stay sharp by always learning something new. Practice new skills, read new books, or try picking up a foreign language. These hobbies enrich your life and keep you engaged with the world around you. And the fourth and final dimension involves the social and emotional aspects of your life. Pursuing efficiency doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your social life. Just the opposite, in fact. It's crucial to nourish both your personal and professional relationships. Check in regularly with loved ones, chat with colleagues, and play with your children. If you make a commitment to renew each of these dimensions, you'll continually reap the rewards. With this habit firmly in place, you'll always be ready to act as an effective person. So we've reached the end of the blinks. Here's a small recap of what the 7 habits are all about. The first one is take proactive control of your response to the world. The second one, begin every task with a desired outcome. Habit 3, prioritize by putting first things first. Habit 4, always look for the win-win scenario. Habit 5 is build stronger relationships by truly understanding others. The 6th habit is create powerful synergy by fostering the open exchange of ideas. And finally, number 7, make sure you take time for yourself. When you internalize these and work to cultivate a commitment to them over time, you'll slowly start to reap the rewards of an effective life. And now I'd love to give you one more final tip. Always ascend the upward spiral. It's important both to recognize your accomplishments and to make a commitment to continual improvement. Stay aware of your self-improvement journey by tracking your successes. Make a list of qualities you'd like to work on and evaluate your performance week after week. Seeing your success will help keep your spirits high and motivate you to move forward. I've been Amanda, and I'd like to thank you a lot for listening to these links to the 7 habits of highly effective people. If you want to know even more about habits, Covey's super popular, super helpful bestsellers.